Hi everyone, welcome back to Feeding Ravendoodles, a pet parent's guide to nutrition. Today's topic is a popular one, food allergies. Now, skin issues are the #1 reason that pets in the United States see the veterinarian. Dry skin, a dull coat, intense scratching, head shaking, and paw licking are all signs of skin disease. But is pet food really to blame for all these problems? Today we're going to be talking about the immune system, what makes an allergic reaction, and what to do if you suspect that your pet has skin disease or a food allergy. First, we're going to be talking about the immune system. Now, allergic reactions are always controlled or mediated by the immune system. And the immune system is a complex network of cells and chemical messengers in our bodies that have many, many roles. And one of those roles is to eliminate foreign material from the body, such as allergens. Now, an allergen is simply something that causes an abnormal immune response. An allergen can be anything, and typically an allergen is not inherently bad or problematic, or even dangerous to the body. But the animal's body or the human's body perceives that it is dangerous, and so their immune system initiates a very strong response to it. I'm going to use pollen as an example because it's a common allergen for pets and humans. Some people are extremely allergic to pollen, and some pets as well, while others are not bothered by it at all. The allergic people and animals have an abnormal immune response to pollen. Therefore, it's an allergen for these people and animals. So now we're going to need to go over some definitions before we really get into the nitty-gritty of food allergies. An adverse reaction to food is kind of a catch-all term for any abnormal reaction or response to a food or an ingredient. This is the right term to use when the pathophysiology or the mechanism of the reaction is unknown. And this is going to encompass food allergies and all types of food intolerances, which we'll get into shortly. A true food allergy is an immune-mediated reaction to a food or an ingredient. It can be controlled by any different immune cells based on what type of reaction it is. All allergies, food allergies included, are going to cause inflammation in the body. So some food allergies are going to manifest in the digestive system, and they're going to cause inflammation that causes vomiting and diarrhea, while other food allergies might manifest in the skin. So they're going to cause inflammation that causes itching, redness, scratching, and swelling of the skin. Now, it's very important to note that these signs that I've just described, these symptoms alone, do not indicate a food allergy. There can be many, many factors at play if your pet has symptoms that can be digestive or skin, indicative of digestive or skin disease. So definitely don't jump to a food allergy if you ever see a pet exhibiting these signs. Now, allergic reactions require that a pet has seen this ingredient before. So they need to have eaten the ingredient at least once before, usually many times before they develop an allergic reaction to it or allergic response to it. So an allergen is going to interact with immune cells and stimulate them many, many times before the immune system really registers that this allergen is a problem. So this is why some pets have eaten the same food their entire life, and then suddenly in later years they become allergic to a component of their diet that they've eaten thousands of times before. Now, a food intolerance is a reaction to a food or an ingredient that is not caused by the immune system. This can include things like food poisoning, food idiosyncrasy, which resembles an allergic reaction, but again, doesn't involve the immune system, and pharmacologic or metabolic reactions to foods. The clinical signs of food intolerances vary widely. And unlike with allergies, an animal can be intolerant to a food or an ingredient that is never seen before. A great example of a food intolerance is lactose intolerance. Adult dogs and cats lack the enzyme lactase, which is used to break down lactose, the sugar in milk and other dairy products. So this is why adult dogs and cats should never have dairy products, because they will have extreme digestive upset if they do. So lactose intolerance is what we call a metabolic reaction to food. The body cannot break down this lactose, so it has to get rid of it. Now, the problem with the definitions for a food allergy and a food intolerance is that they only describe the pathophysiology of the response, so how the body reacts to these ingredients. They don't distinguish between the clinical appearance. So the clinical appearance of a food allergy and a food intolerance could be identical. You don't know the difference between the two unless you do additional diagnostic work. So that's why it can be extremely tedious and time-consuming and difficult to diagnose a food allergy or a food intolerance. Now, food sensitivity is a very loose term that is actually not described in the scientific literature, so it really doesn't have a true definition. But the term food sensitivity can be used to describe pets that have frequent digestive signs like flatulence or loose stool or even occasional vomiting. Now, food sensitivity can be due to ingredients in the diet. They can be due to the nutrient profile, so the makeup of the diet, like ratios of fat to fiber or protein to fat. Some pets can be sensitive to that. Or food sensitivity can be due to other things that the pet is eating, like treats or table scraps. So they might not be to the main diet at all. And this term, unlike the definitions for food intolerance and a food allergy, the term food sensitivity actually describes the clinical appearance of the problem. It doesn't describe the pathophysiology of the problem. So the pathophysiology of the food sensitivity is not widely understood, and that's why it's really not defined very well. So food sensitivity can be honestly anything that causes frequent digestive signs. So why do pets get dermatitis or inflamed skin when they have allergies, whereas humans are going to cough and sneeze and have a runny nose and watery eyes? The reasoning for the difference in manifestations of the allergic response are due to the distribution of immune cells in our bodies. So specific immune cells that are responsible for inflammation and redness and itchiness and all that good stuff. These cells are called mast cells. And mast cells are found in different places in our bodies versus our pets' bodies. So in our pets, mast cells are abundant in their skin, while in us, our mast cells are abundant in our respiratory systems. So this is why pets scratch and we sneeze when we have allergies. Now, allergens can be anything from pollen to fleas to food ingredients. But despite popular belief, food allergies in pets are extremely uncommon. The most common cause of skin disease and the most common allergen for pets is actually fleas. Other common causes of dermatitis include ectoparasites like mites, environmental allergens like pollen, dust, or grasses, contact irritants like household cleaners, infections like bacterial or yeast infections, or even immune-mediated disease. Atopy, which is the genetic tendency towards developing allergies, is another reason that pets get skin disease. One or more of these problems can be present at the same time, contributing to the signs that you might see in your pet. Now, if you do suspect that your pet has skin disease, it's very important not to jump to conclusions. You're going to want to approach the problem in a systematic and scientific manner so that you can help your pet's veterinarian eventually diagnose the root of the problem. The first thing you're going to want to do is monitor your pet closely. You're going to need to record when the problem started, note all the signs that your pet's exhibiting, and take pictures so that you can document the progress. Then you're going to want to call their usual veterinarian and schedule an appointment. The veterinarian will take a thorough history from you first. So they're going to ask you a bunch of questions about the pet's home environment, their lifestyle, and about the problem. Then they're going to take a thorough diet history. Because aside from food allergies, there are actually other factors of the diet that can play into skin issues, such as nutrient deficiencies. Then the veterinarian will perform diagnostic tests to rule out different types of skin disease. So this can include blood work, skin scrapings, biopsies, or intradermal allergy testing. If they rule out the more common causes of allergies or skin disease, then they will turn to diagnosing a food allergy. There is only one way to diagnose a true food allergy in pets. It is the gold standard for diagnosis of food allergies, and it is called an elimination diet trial. Your pet's usual veterinarian will guide you through this entire process and help you out. And if they cannot, they should be able to refer you to another veterinarian or a board-certified veterinary nutritionist who can. First, you're going to need to monitor your pet for several weeks before the trial even begins. You're going to need to monitor the symptoms, note all the foods that they're eating, and take pictures of their skin to document the progress. Then the veterinarian is going to give you options on what to feed as their main diet during the trial period. Now, the trial diet is going to have to be complete and balanced because the trial period can take a minimum of 8 weeks and often can take much longer, like months longer. It must be complete and balanced because you don't want your pet to have any nutrient deficiencies during this period. So some of the options for a trial diet are, number one, a commercial novel ingredient diet. This type of diet has animal and plant ingredients that the pet has never eaten before. Now, figuring out novel ingredients or new ingredients can be very difficult, especially in older pets who have eaten many different foods over their lifetime. If you do choose this type of diet, it should be a therapeutic diet by a company that is science-based and has good quality control. Over-the-counter exotic protein or limited ingredient diets are a very poor choice for a commercial novel ingredient diet because they're often contaminated with other ingredients that a pet could be allergic to, or they even have these common ingredients like chicken or beef further down their ingredients list. So they're a very poor choice for a novel ingredient diet for a diet trial. The second option is a homemade novel ingredient diet. And it's based off the same concept as the previous. So oftentimes a commercial diet cannot be found because a lot of the times pets can have been exposed to many ingredients that are found in those commercial novel ingredient diets. So a homemade diet should always be fed with the guidance of a board-certified veterinary nutritionist because, again, you want it to be complete and balanced, and you don't want the pet to have any nutrient imbalances during this trial period, which can cause illness or even exacerbate their skin disease. For more information on homemade diets, check out my video of the same name. The third option for a diet trial is going to be a hydrolyzed protein diet. So this is based around the concept that allergies are pretty much always related to a protein source. This is because proteins are really large molecules and therefore the immune system targets them very easily. So the process of hydrolysis, which is the process that goes into creating the hydrolyzed protein diet, hydrolysis is going to break down proteins into tiny peptide chains and amino acids, so the building blocks of proteins. And these are much too small for the pet's immune system to recognize. Therefore, hydrolyzed protein is going to be the only true hypoallergenic diet out there. Once a trial diet is chosen on the guidance of your pet's usual veterinarian, you're then going to eliminate all other food sources that your pet eats. This is going to include treats, table scraps, food toppers, chewable medications, chewable preventative like heartworm or flea and tick chews. So you're going to have to change to the topical versions of those, or anything else that your pet consumes, because all of these food sources can interfere with the diet trial. Then you're going to need to feed the new diet for several weeks. You're going to watch those signs of skin disease begin to disappear. And if they don't, you're definitely going to need to alert your pet's veterinarian so they can adjust to the diet or possibly diagnose another problem. And then after all of that, you're going to begin the challenge period. So you're going to test the pet with one food ingredient at a time. So this is going to be like, you're going to maybe start off with chicken or beef, and in between each challenge, you're going to wait several weeks to see if those allergy symptoms or skin symptoms reappear. This is the part of the trial diet period that takes the longest because the pet's body has to recover in between each challenge. If the skin issue, comes back, the veterinarian can diagnose a food allergy to the most recently fed ingredient. If the allergy symptoms do not come back, that means they're not allergic to that food, and then you're going to test another ingredient. You can do this with many, many ingredients before you ever diagnose a food allergy, which is why this process takes so long. And you can diagnose multiple food allergies. So I'm just going to touch on a few ineffective methods of diagnosing a food allergy in pets because a lot of these methods are very abundant both in veterinary practices and just out there in the private sector. So companies that sell you kits online that can diagnose a food allergy in your pet. So I want you to be aware of these and just know why they are inaccurate and why the gold standard and the only true way to diagnose a food allergy is that elimination diet trial. So the first one is intradermal allergy testing. Now, intradermal allergy testing is the one where they poke the needles into the skin and they inject a little bit of an allergen under the skin. And this is actually excellent for diagnosing environmental allergies in animals, but there is no scientific evidence that it works for food allergies. The second method is a serum IgE test. So this is a blood test that is very commonly done, but it has very inconsistent results. So it's unable to be duplicated. If you run a test in one laboratory and then you send it to a different laboratory, you might get completely different results. It's also poorly reproducible, so if you test the pet on day 1 and then you retest them on day 4, the test results could be completely different. The serum IgE test also has many false positives, so a lot of the times, even if they're not allergic to that ingredient, they could still have a reaction to it. So serum IgE tests are extremely imprecise for environmental allergens, and they're absolutely useless for food allergies. So don't waste your money on serum IgE blood tests. The third type of test that's actually really sketchy is hair or saliva sample tests. A lot of companies have capitalized on this idea and they sell home test kits that you can clip off some of your pet's fur or do a cheek swab or send in their saliva or anything like that. These tests have absolutely zero basis in science. They do not work, ever. And the scientific literature actually shows that these tests are incorrect. Some scientists have even sent in water as saliva and stuffed animal fur as a hair sample. And these saliva and hair samples were found to be allergic to ingredients found in foods. So these tests, super inaccurate, and don't waste your money on them. Now, the only way to truly control a food allergy is by complete avoidance of whatever they have been found to be allergic to. So once the veterinarian has diagnosed the food allergy to a specific ingredient or ingredients, you're going to need to find a new diet that does not contain the ingredients that they're allergic to. This can be super tricky. Many pets are allergic to common ingredients like chicken or beef. And as exotic meats become more widely available, pets might be allergic to these too. So sometimes pets have multiple ingredient allergies, or again, they're allergic to ingredients that are so common that it's just impossible to find a new diet. So you may need to consider a therapeutic hydrolyzed protein diet, like we talked about earlier, that can be used as a trial diet. Or you might need to consider a homemade diet that has novel ingredients that is formulated by a board-certified veterinary nutritionist. Now, finding a new diet is not the end. Simply feeding it isn't enough. You need to ensure that your pet never eats anything that contains their allergic ingredient. So, treats, table scraps, people food, flavored medications, these cannot contain their allergic ingredient. So let's say Raven was allergic to chicken. She should never eat treats that might include chicken or any type of chicken ingredient. She could never have a chewable medication that has a chicken flavor. But you can still give your pet treats. So there's always different options for treats. First off, you could use their kibble as treats. So a lot of pets will take a few kibbles as treats and they'll think it's the greatest thing in the world. Some pets love fresh fruits and vegetables. Or you can buy, if you really want to buy treats, you can buy therapeutic hypoallergenic treats with a prescription from your veterinarian. Now, ectoparasite control, or external parasite control, is extremely important for pets with skin disease, no matter what the primary cause is. So these ectoparasites are things like fleas and mites that can irritate the skin, especially if the skin is already sensitive, and they can make skin issues way worse. So make sure your pet is on a quality flea, mite, and tick prevention year-round. Other parasites, like endoparasites, are parasites that live inside your pet. And endoparasite control is also very important for pets that have digestive disease. So endoparasites are things like intestinal worms or other bugs that pets can pick up really anywhere, and they live in the pet's digestive system. Keeping your pet on a high-quality heartworm prevention should control roundworm problems. And taking your pet to the veterinarian regularly and having their feces tested is important for controlling other parasites that can exacerbate digestive disease. Now, a great way to help your pet out if they have a dry skin or a dull coat is a fatty acid supplement. So omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids are nutrients that are essential for skin and coat health. Omega-3 fatty acids also have anti-inflammatory properties that can help with itchiness and redness of the skin. It's very important to note that omega-3 fatty acids do not cure skin disease. They simply help the body repair damage that has been done and may help prevent future damage. If you are going to buy a fatty acid supplement, make sure that you're buying it from a company that is backed up by research, so they do their own independent research, and they perform good quality control. The reasoning behind this is that supplements are not regulated by the FDA or by AAFCO, so buying from a company that regulates itself is very important. You're going to want to ensure that the supplement includes an ingredients list and a calorie statement at the bare minimum. Stay tuned because I will have a future video called supplements, so watch out for that. When any pet has a chronic problem, it's very important to always monitor them. Monitor them regularly for signs that they're having a flare-up, signs that they're doing well. And keep a journal, describe those problems, dates that issues occur, dates that maybe they cheated on their diet, and how those issues resolved. Again, take pictures so that you can document their progress. And always, always, always make sure that you bring your pet to the veterinarian regularly to ensure that they're staying healthy. Now we're going to go over what doesn't work when you're trying to manage a food allergy. These are things that are popular in the pet nutrition industry, things that are highly advertised, things that maybe dog food rating websites rave about, but all of the things that I'm about to mention are not based in science. Limited ingredient diets are a fad not based in science. They're centered around the idea that pets who eat a limited number of ingredients are less likely to develop allergies. Well, this is untrue because, as we discussed earlier, allergies develop after a pet has been exposed to an ingredient a number of times. So a susceptible pet can become allergic to any ingredient that it has seen before. Limited ingredient diets are also often contaminated with other ingredients, since they are often made in the same factory that produces other diets, and they don't do quality control and clean their lines between diets. So a good example of this kind of contamination is like if you buy a chocolate bar and it says may contain traces of peanuts. And this is because the chocolate bar is made in the same factory that produces peanut butter cups. So the same thing can be said for limited ingredient diets. Limited ingredient diet that only has 6 ingredients might be made in the same factory that produces X, Y, and Z commercial diets that have all of these common ingredients like chicken and beef and all that stuff. So, limited ingredient diets, poor choice for an elimination diet trial, poor choice for management of food allergies. Rotational dieting is another trend that is not based in science. It's based on the idea that if you constantly change what your pet is eating, your pet's less likely to develop an allergy. So this is the complete opposite theory of limited ingredient diets, but the practice is still inappropriate. Constantly exposing your pet to new ingredients decreases the number of novel ingredients or new ingredients that they've never seen before. So, if a pet who has been on a rotational diet is later diagnosed with a food allergy, it becomes almost impossible to find ingredients that they have never been exposed to. So elimination diet trial is very difficult for these pets. And often pets who are diagnosed with food allergy, who have previously been rotationally dieted, they need to go on a hydrolyzed protein diet for the rest of their life. And this is not to mention the fact that changing your pet's diet up every few weeks or every bag of food can really upset their digestion and cause vomiting and diarrhea, and it can impact their body condition score if the nutrient profiles of the diets are different enough. So you're going to want to beware of rotational dieting. Probably not a good choice. Grain-free diets are based around the misguided and incorrect notion that dogs and cats cannot digest or utilize the nutrients found in grains, or that grains are a super common cause of allergies in our pets. Both of these things are untrue, and I have so much more information in my video, Grain Fillers in Pet Foods, so definitely check that out for all the information you could ever want on grains. Gluten is just the protein part of a grain. Gluten-free diets are based off of A, the human trend, and B, the incorrect belief that gluten is a common source of allergies or intolerances in animals and humans. However, there's no scientific evidence showing that avoiding gluten is better for health. And gluten intolerance or gluten allergies have never been documented in cats, and they've only possibly been documented in 2 breeds of dogs. So buying gluten-free diets is a waste of money, and it's not based in science at all. Unless your pet has been specifically diagnosed with a wheat allergy, gluten-free diets should be avoided. Exotic proteins are a big trend right now. Often these diets are made with things like alligator, kangaroo, bison, or other strange meats. Uncommon things, so things that are not beef, chicken, lamb, duck, stuff like that. Again, these diets are a fad. And there are 2 theories that I could kind of come up with when I was thinking about why these diets are fed. And the first one is that exotic proteins are an unusual source of food allergies when you look at the numbers. Again, most dogs and cats are allergic to things like chicken or beef. But the only reason for this is that they're the most common ingredients. Chicken and beef are the most common ingredients found in pet food. But as exotic proteins rise, allergies do too. Because once again, allergies are based on exposure. Now, the second theory that I came up with was that exotic meats are novel ingredients. So pets have never seen them before. So they should be unlikely to stimulate an immune reaction. But exotic proteins now more and more are being found in many different types of diets, and they're no longer novel. They're also usually contaminated with or contain things like chicken and beef and other common allergens. So they're no good as an elimination diet, and they're no good as a diet if you want to avoid getting allergies. Last but not least, raw diets. Raw diets have been touted as the cure-all. But in truth, raw diets are no more or less allergenic than traditional diets. But raw diets can be a great source of food intolerances due to their uncooked nature and their ability to harbor pathogenic bacteria and parasites. So they often can cause digestive upset. Raw diets are also extremely unsafe for individual pets, their human families, other pets in the household, and the public. For a ton more information, check out my video, Raw Diets. Thank you so much for watching this Popular Topics video on food allergies. I hope that I cleared up any confusion you might have had and all the questions you ever could have had wanted answered about food allergies in pets. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. And leave any comments down below if you do have any questions that I didn't answer, or if you have suggestions for future videos. Check out that video's description below, where I give you a ton of resources on food allergies, as well as primary scientific literature about these issues so that you can do future reading. Don't forget to visit feedingravendoodles.com, where I have my complete collection of articles, videos, and resources all in one place for you. Next time, we're going to be talking about therapeutic diets. Say bye, Raven.